Hi guys, welcome to Unit 1, Basic Skills of Algebraic Expressions. Today we're going to start with Lesson 1 on combining like terms. Before we start talking about combining like terms, I would like to take the time to go over lists of words that can help us translate statements into algebraic or mathematical expression. We have the word add, which means addition, subtract, which means subtraction, multiply, which means multiplication, and divide, which means division. Now, if we take a look at the addition operation, it includes words like add, sum, more than, increased by, exceeds, in all, total, gain, and plus. And if we look at the list for subtraction, the words include subtract from, which I'm going to underline right now, difference, less than, I'm going to underline. I want to get back to these two words later. Decreased by, diminished by, minus, fewer, reduced by. And then if we look at the multiplication, the list includes multiplied by, of, product, times, double, twice, and triple. Double means times 2, twice means times 2, and triple means times 3. Division. The list includes divide, quotient, divided equally, per, ratio of. Divided equally means divided by 2. So let's go back to the two statements, subtract from and less than. Every time we have these two statements, we need to reverse the order of the things that comes before and after the word subtract, from, and less than. And later, we're gonna look at some examples. And I want you also to be careful when you translate statements with comma. Comma separates two operations. The first operation is before the comma, and the second operation is after the comma. We always have to pay attention to the commas. And again, we're going to talk about this later in our practice. Now let's start with two examples that can help us understand the translation of a statement into a mathematical expression or an algebraic expression look like. So I'm going to start with 2 more than a number. More than, we know that the statement more than means addition. We have the word 2 before more than, and the word a number after more than. Since the number that I'm talking about in this statement is unknown, we have an unknown number that we can represent by x, because x is a variable with unknown quantity. So in this case, this statement can be translated into 2 plus x. Second example is 5 less than 3 times a number. Less than can be represented by subtraction. We have 5 before less than, and we have 3 times a number after less than. 3 times a number means 3, and the word times means the operation time, and a number, we said, can be represented by an unknown variable or an x, which is, in this case, is going to be 3x. So this statement can be translated into 3x minus 5. Since we have less than, that means we have to switch the order of the statement that comes before the word less than and after the word less than. That means that when I translate this statement into a mathematical expression, I'm going to have to start with whatever comes after the statement less than, which is 3x. And then whatever comes before less than, it's going to come at the end. Now I want you to use your Power Words sheet that I gave you in class to try to fill in the blanks in these statements. Now let's take a look at combining like terms. We have x plus x. These two variables are like terms. That means that we can put them together or combine them together. This means that x or 1x plus 1x equals 2x. Now let's take a look at 4x squared plus 4x. 4x squared and 4x are not like terms because x squared and x are two different variables. X squared and x are two different variables. That's why these two are not like terms. And in the second statement, we have 4x plus 4x. They have the same variable. We have x in this term, and we have x in this term, which means these two can be combined together into a x. We're adding the numbers, but we're not doing anything with the variables. 4 plus 4 is 8, and x stays the same. Now let's take a look at these two polynomials. We have 3x to the 4th minus 5x squared plus 1. And another polynomial, 6x to the 4th plus 2x squared minus 7. I'm adding these two polynomials together. So when we add two polynomials together, we need to combine like terms. So we have 3x to the 4th and 6x to the 4th. These two are like terms, and by adding the numbers 3 and 6, we have 9, and we don't do anything with the variable in this case, which is x to the 4th. Now we have negative 5x squared and 2x squared. These two have the same variable, which is x squared. That means I can combine them together to get negative 5 plus 2, which is negative 3x squared. 1 and negative 7 are like terms. That means I can combine them together. Plus a 1 minus 7 is negative 6. Now let's take a look at another example where we have to subtract polynomials this time. We have negative c to the 5th plus 8c plus 2 and negative 2c to the 5th plus 6c minus 1. To be able to subtract these two polynomials, we need to distribute the negative. That means that we're going to have to change the subtraction sign into an addition sign. And by doing this, we're going to have to switch the sign of each term in the second polynomial. So if you take a look here, by distributing the negative, we were able to change the minus sign into a plus sign. And each term in the second polynomial switched their sign into the opposite. The negative became positive, and the positive became negative, and so on and so forth. So now we have a similar example to the previous one where we had to add two polynomials. And again, when we add polynomials, we need to look for like terms. So in this case, we have negative c to the 5th and 2c to the 5th. These two are like terms. And by combining the numbers, we have negative 1 plus 1, which means I'm going to end up with 1 c to the 5th. Again, we add the numbers. We don't do anything with the variables. The second pair of like terms, we have a c and negative 6c. By combining these two together, I'm going to have 8 minus 6, which is 2. and the variable doesn't change. It's C, so the combining 8C and negative 6C will give me 2C. And the last pair of like terms is 2 and 1. Combining 2 and 1 together will give me 3.